OFC Podcast Radio. This is me. Welcome to OFC Podcast Radio, where every beat, every word, and every laugh is a celebration of our journey. Join Gina the Great, your joy curator, Pharaoh Hammond Freeman, the head honcho, and me, Queen Kaya, your soul sister. Stay tuned for a dose of melanated excellence right here on OFC Podcast Radio. But before we do anything else, we're going to bless our show and the kings and queens listening.
Grand Rising, blessed melanated rising, my people. I'm so grateful to life. I'm grateful to God, our creator, and I'm grateful to our ancestors who are present with us and for giving us this opportunity to be able to be on here today. Giving us this opportunity to bless our listeners, to uplift our listeners, to entertain, enlighten, and empower. And I just ask that today's show, let it be very uplifting, let it be inspiring, let it be fun as we send out that spirit of love, light, unity, strength, great health, wealth, and peace to each and every one of our peoples out there. Hotep, amen, ashe, aibobo. Gina the Great, how was your week?
I had a great week, all things considered. I'm very much better busy than bored as a mindset. And, watch what you ask for because you just might get it. Shout outs to Jessica and Sam who had their wedding on Saturday. It was great. It was beautiful. And they took it in strides too, because as many may know, nothing goes perfect at a wedding or nothing will go exactly as planned. But with all that being said, whatever was not planned you could not tell. They did a great job at that, and that was wonderful. My sisters came in town because they had a baptism to go to, so we did that on the Sunday morning. That was less wonderful to have to wake up early in the morning to go to a baptism after a wedding the night before. But you do what you got to do, and you show up.
Can I ask what kind of baptism? Like a Catholic, Christian?
It was a Catholic. It was a Catholic baptism. Which here's the thing. What I will give them is they get you in, they get you out.
Amen. Amen.
Everything was an hour 15, an hour and a half. I promise you. Because I've been to, granted, we call it dedications, and I say we. Seventh-day Adventists, they call it dedication because you can't really get baptized at that age because it has to be a consensual thing that you want to do. So it's a dedication. But for 3 of my niece or nephew, I should say, those were it was full on church services and then the baptism, or the baptism in the middle too. So you got to be there for the whole singing because that takes about an hour and a half, sometimes 2 if you feel it, if the spirit really calls for it.
If the spirit is working,
Then they'll do a little chat, then baptism, and then go right back to the chat. So you can't just be we out of here. Mm-hmm. My latest nephew, or not latest, so the nephew that was born on the 1st, he had his baptism in a Catholic church too. Listen, we almost missed it. We got there, they baptized him, they're all right, thank you, everybody. We're just and you know why? Because they did it on the Saturday. They had the baptism on the Saturday. It wasn't a time for the whole preaching and stuff. They just had a lot of baptisms on that Saturday. So that lasted, I want to say 45 minutes. So that was in and out. So this was still on a Sunday. So it was the hour 15, like I said. They didn't have a lot of flavor to savor to the singing part of it all. But hey,
I knew that was coming. I was just about to say this was not a melanated church because first of all, Jesus don't show up until after the service. So then you start a new service. So we understand
because the spirit just got here. It's this whole time the spirit wasn't here. What was the spirit doing this whole time?
And it was in a church in Centerville in the West Island.
Okay, word.
And driving there, we're just there's a church here? Because I promise you it was all residential or just seeing houses. When we get to the address, we're but this is a house. So then you kind of got to go in there, and all of a sudden, it was a house, and then they just mega built a church behind it. So it's go get the house.
Okay.
Okay, this is a full-on church. But I mean, I guess Centerville is about that big as a, parish, if you will. And it definitely looks like it was the first church that they just had to expand for the people. But it was very, very interesting because the priest was Indian. Okay. And so this baptism, the priest was Indian. My nephew's baptism in the Catholic Church in Toronto was Indian. And my cousin who got married in Italy in the Amalfi Coast, her priest was also Indian. So I feel like the Catholic Church, they're not, the recruitment is lacking. You just went, oh, there's 1 billion people out there. I'm sure we can get some folks out there. But part of the whole message that the priest gave on that Sunday, he's just like, Centerville hasn't had any priesthoods or anyone who dedicate themselves to priesthoods in like over 25 or 35 years. I can't remember how long it was. I was like, well, they're not interested. They're not interested in, not having relationships and doing all these different things and blah, 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 blah.
I'm so happy my microphone was muted just now. Thank you, Jesus.
Spirit. That's going to be my next drop. So it's just diversity, Gina. There's diversity in the Lord. I like it.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I mean, come on, 3 out of 3 in 3 different regions?
Hey, diversity.
I have no religion. I'm spiritual. And then outside of that, like
terrible. No, you can't say that. Guys putting stuff in the chat. Terrible things to say. You don't say that. You don't say that.
They're no longer committing to the church because things are different. Kids no longer go to church. They're not really involved anymore. They're like,
So I'm just glad that I took Monday off, because when I tell you I was poopithed, okay? When I tell you tired does not begin to explain the feeling.
Sorry, wait. You just said something before I lose my train of thought. There's something I want to ask you guys completely off topic, on topic though. It got me thinking. When you're setting up a society, do you think setting up the church is the first thing you got to do? Like, do you think like they set up a church and then you build a community around it?
Well, today, no. But back then, yeah, it was church and state. The first thing that you wanted to establish was, how are you going to rule over the people? So you needed the government for the secular and non-secular, if you will, and then you needed the church to keep the thumb on their neck.
Thanks, guys. And that just came because you were saying with like this church that's kind of random in Centerville. And I was like, but how did that happen? Did they build the church first and then the community around it? I'm going to
actually look into this, because if she's saying it's one of the oldest churches or look like the oldest church and it was by house and stuff, I might got to look into this, because this might be my great grandfather church, because he had one of the largest churches in Quebec.
Seriously?
Oh no, It's not a big church though. It's not a big church.
No, it's not. No, it's not large. It's one of the first.
Yeah.
I mean,
back then it was like
in Centerville,
like Les Prairies, like very old, very back in the day.
No, that's completely advertised. Like the Prairies is on the other side, no?
No, I'm saying it was like Les Prairies, like it was like old, Lassie days,
like Little House on the Prairie.
Little House on the Prairie.
Okay, bad. Okay, sorry guys, it's just my mind works. Mm-hmm.
So right, I mean, I took Monday off, and thanks for that, because I was poopeth. I did what I thought was going to be a nice relaxing Monday. Ended up being a 6:54 a.m. fire alarm in the whole building.
Salt, man.
Right?
Salt
so
in your eye.
That ripped me out of my sleep in not the best of ways at all.
If the fire alarm go off at 6 o'clock in the morning, the building better be burning down. I'm in my bed.
Here's the thing too, is because I'm in a 3-phase building, like a project, I should say. The 2 first phases are connected on the outside. My phase is disconnected on the outside. However, we're connected from underground. When the alarm goes off over there, it goes off over here too.
Oh man! So it doesn't have to be in your building?
No.
That's what happened.
We're gonna have to renegotiate.
My friend's daughter is on Les Bassins, and she called like, "Mom, the fire alarm is going off in the building. What do I do?" She's like, "Do what the fire alarm papers say." She's like, okay. She takes a picture from outside in some like fluffy slippers. She's like, I saved my slippers just in case. Just want to let you know. But
she was probably in my building.
So that's what happens. All of you guys go off. It's the whole street. Well, that's what happens.
Not the whole street. No, not the whole street. So just this part, because we are connected as a building underground. So like if something really is going wrong either side, and it can travel to the other building. It won't skip to other buildings that aren't connected. We're connected underground. We're connected
they was on fire too, but Monday they was on fire.
So she was probably part of NOCA, so like in this building. But anyway, all that to say, that was not the restful day that I needed. Work week was wild, so I'm so glad we are nearing the weekend, because this is definitely going to be a spa weekend. This is definitely might be one of those days where the phone's off. I'm not answering. And that's really kind of what that's looking like. And I'm going to take this opportunity to open up, because I reached out to my cousin. So if you want jewelry, I'm not really a jewelry person, but from the wedding and the baptism, I was just like, I don't really got no jewelry. And I think I do want to like get some custom pieces that are, you know, clean cut and really nice. And he kind of does the whole gambit, and his thing.
I want it.
Stones and diamonds. So on IG, you can find him Clear Stones West, or you can go at clearstonescustom.com. And they will build you out they have what they have, but they will also build out jewelry. And so definitely go check them out. I am actually drawing out some stuff now to send out to him for some earrings. But if you have anything that you're thinking of, like, they do that, they build it out, and it's affordable considering.
Well, I want grills.
Oh, he does enough of them.
That's what I figure. It's West, our family West.
Yep. And he did, because he did a lot of Dylan Brooks's jewelry. So right now he's doing a lot of the jewelry actually for basketball players and stuff, but he's definitely done, I mean, grills is his thing too. Like, it's been his thing before he even got into this. So I'm not mad at that idea too. If I did it, I just want like a nice little clean outline.
Yes, me too. That's what I'm saying. Just across the bottom. That's what it is, yo. That's what it is.
Outline. And
so wait,
that's where I can't talk properly. Like, right, I don't want it when I'm spitting.
Yeah, yo, you remember I was younger? You know, sometimes I threw in my gold fangs when I was younger by mistake because I'm eating. I take them out to eat, wrap them up, yada yada, and then before I know, I'm like, yo, did I just toss the napkin with my gold fronts in them? Damn,
that hurts on the inside.
Yeah, it does. It does. Especially when you do it more than once. So wait, that I just writing that down. That's Clear Stones West.
Yeah, so on Instagram, it's Clear Stone, no S, West. And otherwise, you can go on their website, www.clearstonecustom.com.
Oh,
that was my week.
Awesome.
Yeah, let's get into your week, Kaya. How was yours?
Thank you, Gina and Joe Jackson. Thank you very much.
And you definitely are the Michael Jackson of the bunch. Like, get it together.
The family depends on us. Michael, do it again. Okay. Yeah. Yo, this is serious. So my week, Lord have mercy. I'm so happy. I actually got a family doctor.
Oh, congratulations.
Finally got a family doctor. Word. Let me tell you what this means for a girl, though. So for those of you who know that last year I was involved in a terrible car accident where I was hit by a bus while I was in Ottawa. And the doctor, when I came into emergency, said to me, "You don't need an x-ray. You are big and strong. You look fine to me." I went to 3 or 4 doctors since then, and every one of them say, well, in regards to this situation, this doctor, he says his recommendation is that you're fine, so you get no help. And if you want any help, go pay for it yourself. So I get a family doctor and some things start moving around. Now, I had done an MRI almost 2 months ago because I was hospitalized for 3 days, and I had been walking for the better part of a month and a half with a walker, for those of you who don't know. So this family doctor just pulled my file and said they've had the MRI results for a long time now. And maybe they don't want to tell me because there's actually a rip in my leg, a C-something tear, and it requires a surgery. And he just set me up for all kinds of tests. I went through an x-ray that day for my arm, all the stuff that I was worried about from the accident. He's helping me to fix. I had an undiagnosed concussion that we talking about right now, like the reason why I couldn't hear well for the last couple of months, why my eyesight was going in my right eye. I was going through it. I was thinking to myself, like, is this what getting old is about? But it's not that at all. It's that I have undiscovered and untreated situations or injuries from an accident. So I thank God for this doctor because he came just in time. So I'm now filling out this pamphlet from SAC. So my week has been very, very, very informative, revealing, but I feel like every part of it is a blessing because it's going to lead to me being able to get some help finally. So I'm so happy, but I gotta talk to y'all about these people. Why people don't got doctors in Montreal? Yeah,
it's a thing.
There aren't enough doctors. They don't stay here, and it seems like they're not even, like, people aren't going into that field, and they're not paying. So
they're taking a doctorate and go into other countries.
Yeah. Well, it's not even other countries. You can go to other provinces that pay better too.
Right.
And have less taxes.
Wow.
But again, it depends on why you become a doctor. And then also it's how many family doctors you have. Because then you have doctors who go into it and get specialized. And then they're not general practitioners. So there's just, and again, Quebec had a problem with population, right? We're an aging population. We weren't having a lot of children, and if you don't have enough children, have to go into it and fit the cog and do what you expect. There's just not enough people for any of those things. So there's what we call like pénuries, or what is that, lacks, or what have you, in a lot of different domains. And even if they were going to Ontario, what they would do before, especially for nurses, was, well, if you come here, you have to recertify or whatever that is, blah, blah, blah. But like in Ontario, they're saying now, if you come with your Quebec license, you can come work here as a nurse, no problem. And I think they're looking at, because how many times do you hear the whole joke about the best place to have a heart attack is in a taxi, because then you have a doctor who came from another country.
Oh, geez.
Yes, I heard that.
Funny. What?
My aunt and her ex-husband now, they both went, they studied in Mexico. They finished their doctorate in Mexico. And when they came back, they're just like, oh, congratulations, but you got to do that all over here. Okay, so she redid it. Her ex-husband was like, nah, I'm not about that life. Like, I already did it. So he basically was a stay-at-home doctor. Like, he was a stay-at-home father who was a certified doctor, who has his doctorate, and never practiced, because in Quebec they said, they're like, oh, well, no, you guys, you got to do it all over. Not come and do a test, write a test, not let me see what you're doing here. Like, that's how that was. Now, granted, that's like probably 30 years ago. But it's still problematic today.
Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna tell you, they would have been very popular in the Black community because we needed doctors. They would have been very wealthy, because this is where we at right now. We need more Black doctors educated in Black medicine. This is so important. So I'm going along whatever program they got going for me. They call me every day like, hey, we got a new appointment for you for something. However, this is a different kind of system, because they keep asking me to pay for little stuff here and there. That's kind of like, I'm like, oh, so Canadian healthcare system is not free. Y'all playing games, because they keep asking me for stuff. And I hear every time I go,
we pay taxes for that. We pay
that's what I was about to say. Like,
no, they asking me for money out my pocket when I come in the door. Like, hey, when you come in,
because you're going to a clinic, right? It's not the hospital. Yeah, so at a clinic, because clinics tend to be semi-private. So like if you need certain paperwork, or if you need them to sign certain paperwork since they're third, certain things aren't covered, because you have private clinics, you have semi-private clinics, but like in a hospital, I don't think you'll ever leave paying a bill unless, let's say, you ask for a private room that wasn't covered by your insurance, like your own private insurance. That's why we have private insurance too, that you normally get with your employer, or you decide to add additional insurance for yourself. But yeah, the basic health needs are what's covered, not the extra stuff.
Okay.
My alternative is naturopath. I'm going to shout out all naturopaths out there and just run the whole system. Mind you,
no, in real life, I really love them, but I need these folks for a second, because I need to go and file some paperwork, because these folks owe me some money. That's the truth. I got
amen to that.
They got to do something for me. I've been in here suffering. I ain't worked in a year, so this is what time it is.
Next up is a lawyer. If you need a good lawyer, we have a lawyer within the OFC. So just,
I wonder if it's one that could actually deal with a case like this, because it needs a special type of lawyer, because both parties were working at the time. I was working for Uber, driving with a char in the car, and that person who hit me with the bus was driving the bus for Ottawa OTT or OTC.
Yeah. Well, I could connect you with her and you can see what's going on. She's a civil lawyer. She handles those type of. That's a civil case. It's not necessarily a criminal case, and it wouldn't be business law. Yeah.
Good looking. Right. Send the contact, because this is what time it is. I got a doctor. I've never been happier in my life. So life is about to change for me. Life is looking up. Even though I've just got news that, these aches and pains I thought I was feeling, because the doctor's telling me, you're big, Black, and strong, and you're crazy because you're feeling pain, right? Now I understand that it's not good for me to just work through the pain, because this injury that I have in my leg is actually something that's worsening because they didn't take care of it when they could have. Yeah, it's crazy. So I got a couple of things going on right now, but I know that life is about to get better because I have a doctor who sees me. And I think that might be the most important thing when you're ill or in a situation. So I'm feeling very, very good right now. So the blessings are here and I am accepting, universe. And Pete, how was your week, brother?
Yo, first of all, amen to that. And second shout out I have, I just sent you Suzanne's contact, and it's
Oh,
actually
thank you so much.
it's her law firm, so you could contact her, let her know you're OFC member referred by us. But also, there's another queen I'm going to refer you to for future. Her name is Nikita, if I'm not mistaken. And what she does is that she works with people within the community so that they understand what their rights are when they go to the doctor, what you're actually entitled to, what you're supposed to be getting, what kind of support you're supposed to be getting, questions you're supposed to be asking. It's a practice that she created just because the amount of horror stories that she heard. She had even herself had to go through some things in the hospital and at the doctor, and she just feels that as a community, a lot of times that we just don't ask the right questions because we're not too sure what we're entitled to. Like a lot of times we just kind of get taken advantage of in and out. They sign whatever documents, so they're getting paid as if they provided some kind of service to you anyways, and you're kind of in and out. So that's something that, yeah, I'm gonna hook you up with as well. All right, just remind me, sister named Nikita.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yo, you already know it takes a village. So my week, let me check the time because you guys know how I get down. Okay, I'll try to keep it short because I don't even know how I get into so many things within a span of 7 days. All right. But first, I'm gonna start off by saying I can't follow up on the conversation we had last week concerning premarital getting it ins. I got in trouble. All right. So just so you guys know, my wife wasn't down. Yeah, I can't talk on this topic anymore. Okay, just for the record, just gonna put it out there.
I'm sorry, and not. I don't want to get you in more trouble, but she wasn't down because you were just baiting private information, or you shouldn't have an opinion on premarital sex.
It's just I don't even know. It was one of those things where I wasn't even sure if I could ask any more questions. Like, wait, what?
You was in trouble.
All right, just too much information. So, all right, so people, so just saying, that was the conversation in the last week. If you guys weren't sure what we're talking about, go check.
Oh man, but I don't understand why you're not allowed to talk about prior to.
Yeah, I don't even know.
With your wife, but it's the same lady. It's not like you was talking about it with another lady.
That's what I'm saying.
About it with the lady who became your wife.
Everyone's entitled to their feelings.
I thought it was a public service, and I was sharing good information for people who are, married, considering marriage, all these things. But no, all right, just
we're gonna get a guideline for what and what not, because you need to stay out of trouble, sir.
A guideline would be good. I really tread on the line of too much information.
So I said, don't talk about me, N-word. Don't put me in your stories, N-word. You better put Sharice in there. You better make up a name. Don't put me in your story, homeboy.
I got it. Yeah. So anyway, so that was it. So I'm gonna start off with that. I have a whole checklist of things I have to make sure to tell you guys about. That was one thing. Shout out to my children. They had their follies, so they go to Centennial High on the South Shore, and shout out to them. They had their follies every year. It's like a talent show, basically. All the children at Centennial.
Awesome. I'm so glad you let us know about it.
And that's the thing. You know what's funny? Because I did tell Uncle Solo, and I did forget about the rest of the.
Not anybody else.
I know. No, drop the ball.
I think that this is actually a thing with y'all, though. I think that y'all be forgetting to tell each other about the activities. I think y'all have.
No,
I say everything.
Yeah,
there's a family group chat. I put it out there. If you're available, reach. If not, we get it.
He said, "Yep." Because I didn't get the message. I don't know. Well, I'm not in the group chat.
We are due. Now we're going off topic, but we are due for another escape room. We are definitely due for another escape room because that was lit. I actually want to do the first.
As a family or as a show?
Well, you could.
Well, one as a family.
We went as a family, but your family too, Kai. You could.
Are we going as a shamly, or are we going as what are we doing? Like,
I like that shamly.
Right? The show family, shamly.
Yes, let's do the damn thing. No, so it was, but yeah, we should though, because it was really fun. And so that was that. So I wanted to give them a shout out just for the show well done. And shout out to all the students there for what they're doing. As we're giving shout outs, as you guys are hearing this, it's going to be last week to you guys, but for me, it was last night. I participated in the Afro Entrepreneur Gala. Guys, this is Black Excellence. I really enjoy participating in these things that just elevate melanated awesomeness. It's an award show. It's their second year doing it. And like red carpet event, get valet parking, old Montreal, It was huge. Big shout out. It was moderated by our queen, Dorte, who is the president of Audace au Féminin, the Feminine Audacity. You guys check them out. They are an exceptional organization, and Afro Entrepreneur is doing a damn thing. There was so much food that after a while, you're like, yo, I can't eat anymore. And the food was all good. Like, everything tasted good. The vibe was right. Open bar, tout le kid. People were dressed to the nines. Everybody looked exceptional. Nice OFC turnout. I love seeing all my members. One, let's just say, area of development. Because now, and Afro Entrepreneur are members of the OFC, and what I appreciate about them is they seen the challenges that they were having for connecting within the community, connected within the Anglophone community. They connected with the OFC for us to start strategizing for next year, like from early on, for us to be able to set up for next year to ensure that there's more English engagement. And I'm telling you, I'm really happy to say that, because this year, that was the one area of development. It was that everything was 100% French. And I had some people who came in from like out of town and stuff like that who were present. And I'm guessing it was like Chinese for them, like, because they were just like, wow, this is all French. Like, all literature was French. Tout le kit en français. Now, there's a part of me that's like, yo, how come we don't have stuff like that in the English community? Do you guys ever wonder that? Like, in English speaking Black community? Because that's, as a community builder myself, I do find that it's an area of development for us as a community and as a whole. And it's something that I would like to take the initiative to help make happen for ourselves. But have we ever had, like, and maybe like I just don't remember, but have we ever had, like, a Melanated Excellence Gala Banquet Award show for our community? Like Egbert Gay, I remember he had a recognition thing some years ago. Anything else you guys remember? No?
I have a question in regards, was this the Gala Dynasty event?
No, but I'm glad you said that. I
think Gala Dynasty is English.
No, it's not.
Gala Dynasty it's also French?
Yeah, it's also French. Yeah, I think they try a bit better, a bit harder to make it a little more bilingual, but I don't really know.
Are there English people being honored at this show that you went to?
No, and this one like because they were giving awards to business owners as well. And I swear, like, I couldn't honestly, I think all the contestants, all the winners, because if you understand how it works, you have to be nominated, right? And like it's coming from within their network. So their network is predominantly French. So people are nominating, it's French businesses being nominated, French businesses like, who are winning the awards, like French businesses that are a part of their ecosystem. Right. So that's one of the things that we're doing now within the OFC is helping more businesses to plug in. And for those who don't know what Afro Entrepreneur does, I'm going to have them on the show. They're going to come on just to talk a little bit more, but I'll give you guys just a quick little thing. They provide funding, right? They provide minimum $50,000 to $500,000 in business funding for entrepreneurs. So it's like for people who are trying to get access to capital, these guys are there. One thing with them is they don't work with startups. So you need to be already doing something and you need to expand, you need to grow, you need to, do more. You tap into them and they're here for that, right? And what's cool is they also have grants that they give out as well. And the grants is to help you to build your capacity to an extent so that you can generate more revenue so that you can go to them for a loan, right? So there's tons of opportunities for people within the community, but we're not dialed in. So what we're doing within the OFC is creating opportunities for people within the community to be able to connect with this organizations like this one. But it's like, it was something I said I wanted to bring up today, and I would love feedback from the community in terms of why they feel we don't have these type of things within the English community. Inquiring minds want to know. So people, as you're hearing this, please send us your feedback, comment on our pages, whatever be the case, but we definitely want to hear from you. Send us an email, ofcpodcastradio@gmail.com. But I would love to hear your feedback, why you feel this is not happening. Do you feel it's something that we do need within the community? Because it'd be my pleasure to build something like this for us, because I think it's very necessary. Now, on the same note of Black excellence, we're going to go the complete opposite, though, of Black excellence. I'm not sure if you guys heard about the backing out in Ontario, but if you haven't, I'm going to fill you in right now. The BBPA is under fire because they are part of the whole ecosystem funding. So you guys know when the government rolled out that $220 million to support Black businesses across Canada, there was a couple of groups that were responsible for holding the big bags to reallocate funds to the organizations. Okay. So in Quebec, like the biggest one we have is Group 3737. And then under them, there's a bunch of other what you call ecosystem partners that also receive money. Within Quebec, for those who don't know, there's 10 groups. Amongst 10 groups, they received $24 million. Were you guys aware of that? $24 million within the province of Quebec? Wow. Just for Quebec business owners? Wow. So anyways, now let me digress on Quebec. for a second. So in Ontario now, so the group out there, one of them is the BBPA, another one is Tropicana. Long story short, the members of the BBPA were calling for transparency. They're trying to understand what's happening with the money because the business owners aren't getting it. Come to find out, there was all kind of mismanagement of funds. The executive director she's paying herself $250,000 a year, which is crazy.
Lord.
Thank you. Like, ooh, wow. But then the other thing, which is a no-no, is that her marketing company was also receiving large contracts from the organization, where technically the goal of getting these funds is to share the wealth, is to make sure everybody's eating within the community. And that's what really frustrates me about these things. If everybody eats, everybody wins. But then you got these whales at the top of the organization collecting all the funds, eating it up themselves, and we're just withering underneath them. And the government's like, well, look, we did our part. We gave you guys the bread. You guys fix up amongst yourselves. And then they're really doing the worst. So anyways, so just to say, they're under fire right now. You guys definitely want to check it out. I'll share the article on our pages so you guys could read the article. But it is intense. Like right now, it's like that people want to know what's going on. And I feel with this is setting a precedent, and Quebec might have a Cat Williams summer, because I'm just saying now there's a lot of groups in Quebec. Like I said, there's $24 million. Now I could talk about it because I was very much involved. I remember myself having a mandate to work with these organizations. And it's sad to say that out of 10 organizations that received this funding, and I'm talking in the millions, 2 of them were already doing things for the community. 1 of them was about to start. 7 others, nothing. They couldn't show anything that they were doing. They didn't respond. We invited them to come and share things like, what are you guys doing? How can the community get access to the support? Nothing. 1 of them blatantly said they're not interested in coming and sharing. I was like, I didn't even know you could say that. Like, I didn't even know that was an option. They blatantly responded and was like, no, we're not interested. We're too busy. I was like, you're too busy. Like, okay, but then doing what? Like, like money. Yeah, it was like they're doing their own private programs. I'm like, private programs is public funds. So I don't understand. But I was like, you know what? Everybody in their time. So guys, just stay tuned. Because like I'm here. All I really want, and somebody was asking me, like, what's my goal at the end of the day? As a community builder, I am so dedicated to building with the people. I want people to do well. I really want society to understand that as you help your brother and your sister, you're helping yourself. Like, so do unto others as you want done to yourself. I genuinely want people to do good in life. Now, with that being the case, when you have groups that are sitting on all this money, it's stagnating the community. Like, it's literally killing the community because we don't have the resources necessary to be able to evolve like everybody else. I don't want to come in and have them lose the bag, because a lot of times what ends up happening is just goes back to the government. It's not like they reallocate the funds and do better. So all I really want is, guys, if you receive X amount of millions of dollars to say that you're going to do X, Y, Z, do it. It's not that complicated. You said you're going to do this, just do it. That to me is the biggest thing that I like, the weirdest thing I find that happens within our community when dealing with some business owners, when dealing with some organizations. It's like, it's not rocket science, guys. Like the challenge that we have for the most part is that a lot of times some of our business owners, sorry to say, embarrass us. Some of our organizations embarrass us. We're trying to do business. You're trying to introduce you to other people. You're saying you could do this, and then when it's time, you can't do it. Why didn't you just say you couldn't do it? Like, why did you waste people's time and pretend and this, just to try to show face? Guys, we need to stop this. We need to do better. So my goal is just to help these organizations, because one of the things that the OFC is blessed with, we do have access to a lot of people. We have a good amount of members. We have a lot of engagement. We have people all around. If you need help to access people for your programs, connect with the OFC. It'll be my pleasure. My members are here. They want to participate. Make sure the quality. If you need help to standardize your programs, you just need help to just connect to ensure that you deliver well, come to the OFC. It's our pleasure to help you with these things, because our goal is to ensure that the needs of the members of the community are met. And if you got the resources, we got the people. Win, win, win across the board. So anyways, I'm going to digress because I have a whole bunch of other things I could rant about. But I have to say, this was my week. I really had a good time at this event. It was a real eye-opener. And finding out this recent information about this organization and about what is happening. Yeah, it's one of those things that I just feel like, it's everything has happened for a reason. We're at a time within the province of Quebec where we need change. Like it's like something's got to give. And within the English speaking community, I definitely would like for us to step up and do better. And within the French community, I'm looking forward to us bridging the gap a little bit more and tighten that up. Oh, I cannot end without one just mentioning Montreal. So Montreal Carnival, there was the Carry Mass. They had their press release, their press conference last week where they announced what they're going to be doing. Did you guys hear, or have you guys been tuning in to what's happening with Carrie Mass and anything like that? No, no. Kai, anything
Whatever it is sounds like, but I'll let you tell it.
Yes. Well, you said it, not me. Look, I'm just here to just create awareness. How do I put this? Because I'm not doing it, all I could do is hope for the best, wish for the best, and to support and encourage to the best of my abilities. Okay, because I'm not, like, we tried to jump in that ring and we realized that the people by all means do not want to work together. And for us, again, that's against our values, that's against our principles, that's against good business practices. We're not down to create no crab in a bucket type of thing, and we're not down to compete with our own people for anything, especially when it has to do with the culture. So they're doing it. We're doing other things. I really want it to go well. My only concern is I do find that, putting out a budget in total, they're saying they need to raise $75,000. So everybody get your donations together, 75,000. Not too sure what that's going to fully do because they haven't really explained what the budget is, nor the route is. They've been working on this for 9 months. We don't really know what's happening. In total, the city gave them 30, so that's a budget of 105,000. So from my calculations and from those of some of the administrators that I work with, we don't understand what they're funding with that 105,000. So we're hoping, you know what? Hopefully one of them reaches out to come onto the show so we could actually have a conversation, let them share what's going on within the community and explain to us how this budget is breaking down, how they plan on doing what they're doing. So that would be really great. It would be awesome to have somebody from the show come on. So you guys are hearing us, come on to OFC Podcast Radio. We'd love to have you guys as guests to just share, what the plans are, what is happening and what is going to be happening. That would be really exceptional. All right, guys. So with that, shout out to everybody. I appreciate you guys and stay tuned. I have an awesome interview for you guys. We're connecting with Andrea Cox, and you guys already know in this season, we're preparing you guys for the future, and nothing is more important or more guaranteed than the end of your life. We're all going to transcend, and we should be prepared for the next. Your family should be prepared. You should be prepared so that we're not, what's that expression? Prevention is better than cure. You know what I mean? Like, you want to be ready for these kind of things. And we're one of the only communities that do not, sorry to say it like this, but we don't capitalize on our deaths, and it's going to happen. Everybody dies. So why aren't we leveraging our insurance? Why aren't we planning? Why aren't we making sure that, our tombstones are paid for, our wills are done? What is the problem? Anyways, we digress. Guys, stay tuned. We'll be back. Let's take a quick positive cause just to shout out our homegirls, Kemba and Andrea from Keen Real Estate Group. Whenever you're thinking real estate, whenever you're thinking investments, whenever you're thinking about planning for the long term, think Keen Real Estate Group. They're generating wealth for generations. KeenGroup.ca. If your goal is to purchase a car and to make the process as simple as possible, just get a car broker, guys. You just get a car broker. Big shout out to our homeboy, Hamsdale Jacques, the owner of HJCourtierAuto.com. That's HJCourtierAuto.com. If you're a small to medium-sized business and you're getting started and you're ready to go to that next level, what do you need? You need a phone line and you need a website. Think Mainstream Digicom. They got all your telecommunication needs checked. MainstreamDigicom.com. You're trying to get out on the web. You're trying to understand how to navigate through ads. Check out Java Logics for all your marketing, your digital marketing. Where would we be without Preston? I don't even know. Check out Java Logics. I give thanks to Preston for what he's done for the OFC. The amount of positive reviews we've gotten from all his referrals, we're proud to stand behind his work. Check out JavaLogics.com. No, it's not just because he's my brother. It's because you can't talk hip-hop in Montreal without saying M City Solo. Guys, check out his latest project, In My Fields, available on mcitysolo.com. If it's not one of the hardest new EPs to hit Montreal, come and let me know. You already know. It's your boy, Pharaoh, bigging up, mcitysolo.com. Keeping the culture alive. I gotta give thanks to West Can Folk Performing Company. For the last 40 years plus, they've been promoting our culture through song, drum, and dance, educating youth, the children, the seniors. Just check them out, westcanfolk.com.
Girl, what are you cooking?
My curry chicken.
Ooh, you're burning it.
Oh, gosh, it looks so...
It's okay, girl. You need the Curry House. They have the best Caribbean food in town. 2 locations in Montreal, West Island, and Côte-de-Neige. For more information, follow Caribbean Curry House, MTL. Don't forget to mention the Empower Hour for your 10% discount.
So, who placed in the order?
Me.
DeVito, WizKid, Burna Boy. Those are just some of the big names that's blessed Montreal thanks to Afrobeats Montreal. Definitely check out Afrobeats MTL for all concerts, show listings, everything that has to do with Afrobeats in the city. Check out Afrobeats MTL. One full circle. We are the Melanated Community Resource Hub and Network. What does that mean? We're here for each other.
Parlay with the people.
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 Parlay with the people. Parlay with the people.
Parlay with the people.
Parlay with the people, y'all.
All right, beautiful people. So we are back. Like I had mentioned at the top of the show, guys, prevention is better than cure. And there is no better person to connect with when we're talking about preparing and getting ready for transitions, transcensions. When we need to think about investing. We need to think about the cost. We need to think about burials. Yes, people, we are talking preparing for the afterlife, preparing our loved ones. We have the one and only Andrea Cox, who is our end of life pre-planning coach. I am glad to have you on with us today, Queen. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome, thanks. How are you doing, Pharaoh?
I am great as well, thanks. I'm here, and anything that has to do with getting our people prepared always excites me, because this is really what we're about here in the OFC. We built an entire community based on setting up ourselves and our future generation. So having you on with us today and just talking about this, talking about passing away and talking about death is a taboo topic within our community. And I'm hoping by having you on, by having open conversations with you and inviting people to participate in conversations with you, we change that stigma. Because, I find we're one of the only communities that, I hate to put it like this, we don't leverage our deaths properly at all. I've met with Chinese people, Jewish people, and they look at me like they don't understand what's wrong with our community, because everyone else seems to be planning and using life insurance and all kind of different things to benefit their future generation. But I'm going to digress and give you an opportunity. So first off, for those who might not have met you or connected with you, if you can just take a moment, just introduce yourself to our listeners and let us know a little bit more about you and your background.
Sure. So as you mentioned, my name is Andrea Cox. I actually live in Calgary, Alberta. I am as you mentioned, end-of-life pre-planning coach. My passion is educating people on the importance of having an exit plan before it is too late. Our community, it's taboo. We don't want to talk about it. And then when a loved one passes away, there's a lot of chaos. There's immense stress. There's family breakdown. There's financial hardship. We can go on and on and on, right? So, we're going to talk about this in a bit, but I am an author as well. I wrote a book called Final Departure. And it is interesting because we have recently changed the subtitle of the book. And people always ask me, why is that? So before, the book was called A Step-by-Step Guide to Prepare for One's Passing. I have experienced people who looked at my book and told me straight that they're not going to buy the book. And, after it happens a few times, it's like, do you know what? The goal of the book is not to deter people from buying it, but to more give them a comfort to want to buy it and to want to feel at peace with it at the same time. So we've actually recently changed it to Embracing Your Farewell, a guide to leaving a lasting legacy. And that's what it starts with, is leaving a lasting legacy.
Okay, I like that. You see, I'm glad you broke that down because I was about to advocate for the first subtitle just because it's just you're getting to the point and you're letting people know this is what it is.
This
But
is what it is.
understanding how people are delicate, sensitive. I understand. All right, beautiful people out there. We hear you. Andrea has heard you, and she has made the changes because we definitely don't want you to be deterred just by the title, especially because of the amount of vital information that you're getting in there. Okay,
Right,
so
right.
all right, so I'm glad you made that change to be able to accommodate to the people. And actually, can we repeat the title just one more time so those who are listening right now who want to Google and check on Amazon, they can check it right now. So it is
Yeah, it's
Departure?
Final Departure. Embracing Your Farewell, a guide to leaving a lasting legacy.
If they just search Final Departure and search Andrea Cox, they should
They
pull
should
you
be
up,
able to
right?
find it exactly. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Good. All right. When we talk about leaving a legacy, what are some of the things that people can expect? Like when they go through the book, like what are some of the keys that they're getting, some of the tricks that they're getting, the information that they're going to be getting from the book?
So first off, the book is actually on a 6-step guideline. One is, having that conversation with your loved ones. We're not having those conversations in regards to what our final wishes is, in regards to, whether we want to donate our organs, right? Where to find those final documents. When a loved one passes away, people are literally looking high and low where these documents are, right? We touch a bit even on senior care options. Before we pass, we are seniors, right? So even on the importance of us who are adult children with aging parents, how to have these kind of conversations, start to have plans in place instead of in a crisis mode when, mom and dad have no choice but to move out of their home. So, just starting these conversations, do not resuscitate. The back of the book even has things like what to say to someone who's passing away. Like, there's a lot of times we don't know what to say, and, there's just so much vital information in that book. And when a loved one passes away, and our family members have to go to the funeral home, based on the conversations that we have with families, the shock is going to be the dollar amount as to what's needed, whether it's going to be cremation, whether it's going to be burial, whatever case may be. There is a funeral home bill, right?
Yes.
There is a cemetery bill. And even the important question that they ask, is there a will? Right? How many of us have a will in place? They say that 60% of Canadians do not have a will. And I'm going to add on there, just because I've been having really good conversations with some law firms. They either don't have a will or they don't have an updated will. And having an updated will is almost just as bad as not having a will, right?
Really?
So the importance of us updating our wills. And, in the book, it has when to update your wills. It has there's so much information that we can't even go through right now, but there's so much information that needs to be had before a loved one passes away. And I think at the end of the day, when a loved one passes away, the victims here are those who are left behind and there was nothing in place. And they're the ones that have to try to piece things together during a devastating time.
Some people might be asking, well, it's finance season in the OFC. Why are you bringing up people passing in the finance season? Like Andrea just said, the bill that comes when a person passes, guys, if you want to do anything for your future generation, at the very least you could do is start planning and making sure, because everybody has to pass away. Everybody's going to be
everybody. So I do also work part-time with a funeral home here in Calgary, and I do prepaid funeral packages. And, I go to funerals, that unfortunately we have more adults who are burying their children more than the other way around. Right. And I'm talking all ages. I don't like to do the children services, and I really try to avoid it just because, I don't know, I just don't like to do those type of services. Yeah. But the reality is that most deaths are unplanned. Of course, and even if someone is sick, that's the worst time to talk to them, because they're not going to want to have those conversations. Mentally, they are trying to deal with the fact that they're no longer going to be here. The last thing that they want to deal with is that, wait a second, I don't have a will. I have no money in place. And now to them, that's not my problem no more. That's going to be your problem. Yeah. And, it's sad, but I get it, because the thought that you are here today and you get a doctor that's going to tell you, you have however long to live, that's not an easy pill to swallow. No. So exactly. How many of our family members get the shock of their life because some of our family members are not telling the family that this is what they're going through.
That's true
You get
too.
the shock of your life. So just to protect yourself and your peace of mind,
Yeah.
have the conversation and ask the questions. Be that example. Put things in place. And start with yourself. And then once you have it all done, then have the conversations with people. Because as I said, the victim almost is like those who are left behind trying to piece the pieces together when there is nothing there to help them.
Yes.
Decisions to be made. There are so many decisions to be made when a loved one passes away. Let's be real. The shock with some people, they don't even know their first name to their last name. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So having to make these decisions that are lasting, that are, it's if you make the wrong decision, that's going to be on you for the rest of your life. And this is why I think another reason why we're dealing with mental illness. And it's but that's like another thing that I need to do more research on because we go to work, we end up with a traumatic experience losing a loved one, and we have to right away go back to work. So now we're pushing everything under the rug and we're not dealing and we're not doing grief counseling and we're not doing this different stuff. We're not okay. We have our children, then they're not okay. It's a generation. As far as I'm concerned, we are now burying a generation literally with these young people. Who for some, I always say to people, you know what? God, alcohol, and drugs is going to help us through our hard times. Those are the three.
Oh my God, but you're so right.
Unfortunately, now please, now let's talk about the drug overdose that's happening. Like I forgot how about 2-3 years ago, we had 3 Black men die one night from a drug overdose. 3 of them.
Wow.
Young people.
Wow.
And I worked at one of the services and I knew one of the guys. And I'm just saying that we are literally burying a generation of young people. Because it's alcohol and drug abuse that we're dealing with. So you know what I mean? Once you have family, once you have a loved one, have these conversations. Because one thing that is guaranteed just as much as taxes is death. It's not if, it is when. And how prepared is not just the person who's dying, but all of those who are around.
Thank you. Well said. And with that, it's like, and we're talking about just even the when it comes to the financials. If as a family, you guys could plan and prepare, somebody passing away can be they could actually leave a financial legacy for the family, because now with proper planning, with proper insurance, it's not just now who's paying for the bill. The person is paying for their own bill and leaving the family with something as a seed to be able to start with. And it's like, when people talk about, I don't want people planning on my head. That is such an ignorant and an old school way of looking at it, when there's people all over the world who build wealth using their life insurance, who hand off seeds to their generations that they're able to build on. We really need to start thinking, period. We need to start thinking ahead. We need to start thinking strategically. We know mom and dad are going to pass away anyways. One of the things I discuss with young people, quote unquote young people, is that if your parent does not have a life insurance, now, first of all, at this point, if they don't, it is going to be kind of pricey to get it for them, especially if they're at a certain age. But again, if you and your siblings can split the cost of that insurance, and you guys, it's a seed that you're planting, and it's a cost that you're going to have to pay anyways when mom and dad passes.
Exactly.
So you might as well start putting the money up front, so when they get that in, so when they do pass away, you have that insurance in place and it's able to bless the family. Do something like that. Like, it's something where I can't stress it enough how important it's going to be.
Right.
I
also want to piggyback on you on the importance of having prepaid funeral home packages. When we do these packages in advance. So as an example, last July, a close family friend came to me wanting to get a package done for her spouse. And I didn't know that the spouse had cancer, but we set them up for the prepaid funeral packages. And for those who don't know what that is, when you could go to a funeral home and you can actually get a package where you start to pay for those expenses in advance. You're locking in today's dollars. So the advantages in that you're locking in today's dollars. There's various payment options. You don't have to pay everything up front, as in when someone passes away and you have to pay everything up front, right? And the funeral home is actually the beneficiary. So they pay the funeral home within 1 to 2 business days. So it takes away the potential family breakdown due to the disagreements, because let's be real, you go to the funeral home with a group of people and one person wants this, the next person wants that. There's no will in place. You know what I mean? It just gets interesting. And we go to the funeral home, we're now buying out of emotions, and now we're overspending. There's so many options, right? And one of the biggest thing I think with pre-arrangements is that your final wishes will be honored, right? And what ends up happening is that with this family, we worked on this package, or they got the package set up last July, and unfortunately the husband passed away last month. And they asked me to come to the funeral home with them to do those arrangements, and they had the paperwork when they paid, because they paid everything up front for the prepaid funeral package. And by the time we were done everything, they saved just over $1,000.
Wow.
So from July until last month, the cost that we have noticed from our vendors is 5.5% to 29%.
Wow.
And it averages 11 to 25%. So like literally the daughter got up and she gave me a hug. She's like, Andrea, I had no clue what you did. And like, like when you go through it, you're not exactly seeing, but from July to April, how much this family saved was just over $1,000. So just imagine how much you save in years, because the cost of living has literally jumped up over the past
months. Exactly. Yo, first of all, shout out to everybody who has already taken heed and who's already taken care of their pre-planning and all those type of things of pre-planning funeral packages. And for those who haven't, you definitely want to connect with our sister Andrea. Like, you need guidance on this, because again, like it's what you're doing is like you're prepaying it so that later on, because the price will go up. So you're saving. There's no way you're not going to save money by investing it and planning ahead for when you pass away. And like Andrea said, your loved ones do not have to rack their brains on what they're going to do, how they're going to go about it, what is it you want. You can iron out all these things yourself to save them that extra grief, that extra headache. That is exceptional. What I think is going to be huge, because I want to encourage everybody to get your book. And what I want to do with your blessings, of course, is set up almost like let's call it a book club, but for people who have the book, we could go through the book as a group. Yes. I think that could be a fun exercise for those who don't know where to start. And it could be something we do as families within the community. So we can encourage you, OFC, get your family around, let everybody jump on Zoom. We all have the book and you guide us through it as we go through section by section in the book. People ask their questions, but just to remove the stigma, just all talk about it as a group, young, old, mom, dad, granny, grandpa, let's all just jump online and let's just go through the book as a collective. I think that is something if you're down to do. I know we have a workshop coming up, but it might be something we might have to bring back, once we have more people who have the books in hand, and then we set up another workshop. Because I think if it's something, as we're putting it out right now, people who are listening and you're hearing, if it's something that you're interested in, definitely connect with OFC Podcast Radio. It would be our pleasure to get you involved. But I think that would be something that I'm going to champion that initiative, because by all means, I want people to be prepared. Like, prevention is better than cure. That is really, I can't stress it enough. So now, 5th of May, Sunday, 5th of May, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're having a session with you on Zoom. Can you share with the people just what we're going to be going through, what kind of things we're going to be discussing?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously one of the things is going to be, how do you want to be remembered? And because really that starts today, because we don't know what tomorrow looks like. Do you know what I mean? So we can't say, do you know what, by the end of this year, I'm going to start to be the best person ever. I'm going to be nice to everybody. I'm going to forgive this person. I'm going to open, you know what I mean? Like, we need to have these conversations and make those decisions today, because we do not know what tomorrow looks like, right? And, I think one of the biggest thing is that we just need to realize that, unfortunately, this is what's going to happen. And what does that look like in regards to having a plan in place? So we will go through the 6 steps of being prepared. And as I mentioned, started to have that conversation earlier. The first one is going to be just having that conversation with your loved ones. We're going to talk about getting a will and those living documents. So when we lose, so the will obviously kicks in when we pass away, right? And then we have the living documents, which are documents that every adult needs set up, that if we were to lose mental capacity, whether it's Alzheimer's, dementia, oh my goodness, that's another discussion. I do not know what's going on with this Alzheimer's and dementia, but we're seeing this more and more, right?
It's intense. Yeah, man.
And it's just for people to have these legal documents, because this document kicks in when we lose mental capacity. We could get into an accident and something like that happens, that we lose mental capacity. But the biggest thing is that we are appointing someone to make decisions for us when we're not able to. So those are going to be financial decisions. Those are going to be, where we're going to live, or some health decisions as well. So we want to be able to, we know who is around us. We know who our children are. We know who we can trust. We know who we know that will stand in our position when we can't, how we want them to and how we need them to. Because if there's times we lose mental capacity and we come back, right? Which is correct.
Right. Yes.
Now,
yes.
could you imagine now you lose mental capacity, let's just say for a month, and someone steps in and then does completely turns your life literally upside down, making decisions that you would have never made. So you know what I mean? Making these decisions in advance is huge. Know who is in your circle, know which child you can trust. Put these legal documents in place. So for the will and those two legal documents, I don't want to say the name of them because it depends where you live. I don't want to confuse nobody. But most wills, lawyers' offices, they actually do those for you as a package.
Okay,
whether you're single or whether you are a couple. Okay.
So love that.
There's prices for that. And then we'll talk about insurance. Like insurance is so huge. And we're going to talk about the difference between term insurance, whole insurance. I know that here at OFC, we have some insurance agents. I'm in Alberta. I'm here to help the people understand the importance of having these documents. Right now, I don't want to put anybody information out there, but I have a very close family who is right now dealing with cancer. And at the end of the day, now I'm like more seeing more than anything, the importance of having a terminal illness policy. Because at the end of the day, if you get diagnosed with terminal illness, especially if you are an employer or a self-employed, if you're self-employed or if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to lose income. So you want to be able to protect your income, but you also want to protect the person's income who is now home with you, taking care of you.
Wow.
We don't think about these things.
That's so true.
And now, because obviously I'm an entrepreneur, my life has literally been flipped upside down. I have more responsibilities than I did literally 2 months ago.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's like, oh my goodness, you know what I mean? The importance that we just put these things in place. And, and it's just unfortunate because, and this is why it's so important, you guys, that we have these things in advance. Because first of all, let's just talk about cancer. I'm sorry, guys, I just have to talk about this so briefly. Yeah. The stats on cancer with those who were here in Canada. I heard another stat this week, and I'm not repeating it until I can confirm it. But the last I heard before that was that 2 in every 5 Canadians will be diagnosed with cancer before we die. 2 in every 5. I'm just like, what is this, a flu? You know what I mean? So, the importance that we have these protections is so huge, especially as entrepreneurs. And I know that with OFC, a lot of us are entrepreneurs, right?
Big time,
so to ensure that we have these documents in place. But, we're going to talk about insurance. We're going to talk about researching and choosing a funeral home and or cemetery and getting those packages set up in advance. If someone has an insurance policy, especially if it's a whole life policy, my thing is just go to the funeral home, get the paperwork done. So when your insurance policy pays out, your family knows what you want and those decisions. Like, I'm not saying that you need also a prepaid funeral package as well. If you can't afford it, don't do it, but at least, do the paperwork, filling out the forms and stuff. Because I always say it's almost like you going to the bank, filling out an application for a credit card. Your child can't come and answer certain questions because you know it. So now you passed away and now they're getting asked all these questions at the funeral home. And this is where the stress is real because now your family member is literally on the phone calling, auntie, uncles trying to figure out what's dad's middle name? What's the first?
Oh my God.
All these questions that's added onto the stress that, you know what I mean? So, just those importance. And, we talk about, continuing to go through the workbook. And with the workbook, I don't think we talk much about the book. It is a step-by-step guide. So each chapter has worksheets at the end so that we fill them out. We'll fill them out together. So if and when something happens, your family has this book to guide them through everything because you've done it in advance for them. So the thing about it, when a loved one passes away, there's either going to be a lot of confusion. There's going to be a lot of stress. There's going to be family breakdown, financial hardship, or we've done all that for them. And now it's almost like a walk in the park, the peace of mind and the legacy that you leave behind. It's like mom did everything.
It's like, thank you.
To do anything. You know what I mean? And just the burden that's lifted off of the family when this is done in advance is just mind blowing. We have family members who are literally going to the funeral home and they're going to the bank to take out loans. because mom said that she wants to be repatriated and going back home, but mom didn't put nothing in place. Now, if mom, well, that's the last thing that you heard mom say, what are you going to do? You're going to make sure that her wishes will be honored, not realizing that bill you're going to have to pay after. And there's people who end up in such a financial hardship because now they made these decisions when they're vulnerable, when they just wasn't thinking straight, right? And they knew that something had to be done. But now, mom's last words was, and you're just going to do it, not realizing that now that's going to affect your financial responsibilities, whatever case may be, because now that's an expense that you did not budget for. And that just kind of landed on your lap, right? Now you have a credit card that you've maxed out because you're just doing what you have to do in such a short time. Like, we plan weddings, we plan anniversaries, we plan birthdays, we're saving money way in advance. And, if we're not careful, the funeral home bill can be as extravagant as a wedding.
Well said. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I'm so glad for this conversation and for the other ones that's to come. Now, I really think even as we're starting, I want everybody who has the book already to join us on the Sunday. And I'm going to encourage the community to make sure that they have it. Right when you're hearing this, you have a short window of time, but Amazon's quick. I'm sure you're hearing this is Thursday morning as you're hearing this on air. You order it today, you'll probably have it by Saturday. All right. And you could join us on Sunday because I definitely want everybody to have it. And there's a promo right now. If you buy it online, you buy it on Amazon, you're getting a discount. So let's share the contact information so people can plug and get in contact with you, ask you all the questions they might have, and we'll remind everybody again what's going on this coming Sunday. And first, how do people get in contact with you for those who have more questions?
For sure. So our website is Pre-Plan First, and on Facebook and LinkedIn, Andrea Cox, and on Instagram, it is Pre-Plan First with Andrea Cox.
Okay, and that's Cox, C-O-X.
Yes.
All right. So this coming Sunday, 7 p.m. on the OFC Zoom channel. Everybody who already knows, you already know. If you don't, reach out to the OFC. We'll make sure that you have access to it. This is a workshop that we are hosting for members of the community. We're inviting you out, your members, friends of members, anybody who could benefit from this information, you're welcome to come. Even if you're not a registered OFC member, you're welcome to come and participate and get this great information. Again, this is something that we want to use to empower you all in terms of members of our community. As we are closing up this exceptional interview, I thank you for what you're doing. I thank you for sharing that information. Thank you for just helping us all to prepare. I'd like to ask our guests for empowering words to leave with our listeners.
There's so many, but you know what? Let's leave with this one. The goal isn't to live forever. The goal is to create something that will.
That speaks so many like that on so many levels. So as we're planning and preparing, and we leave people with even a financial legacy that will live forever. To know that, hey, grandma, grandpa, mom, dad left me this seed of $50,000 that enabled me to purchase my first property, which I'm now renting out and generating revenue from. You know what I mean? It could be anything, but guys,
anything. It's those memories, right? So what's gonna stick with those who are around you.
Like these type of conversations we're having right now, I like for it in the future to be laughable because everyone's like, of course we plan for our future. Of course we plan for our passing. Those who aren't doing now, their taboo is like, you don't have a will? That's weird. Everybody has a will. Everybody plans. We've all connected with Andrea at least once. That's what I want everybody to say. I've connected with Andrea at least once, so I already know what I'm doing. So that is the plan for the future. People, this has been another Parlay with the People. Thank you all for tuning in with us as usual. Stay tuned as we're now getting ready to dive into Kaya's Jambalaya.
This is Queen Kaya, and welcome to Kaya's Jambalaya. Come in, take a seat. Let me cook.
Woo! Lord have mercy. What a rising. Because I want to move away from saying the word MORNING because the universe hears something else. And I want to make sure that we are clear with each other. So welcome to another episode of Kaya's Jambalaya, and it is time to get into some talks about some talks. So I was going to come in today and talk about all the celebrity news and all this stuff. I got to tell y'all about what's happening. So we had touched on Jeannie Mai and Jeezy and their divorce. They had a very, very short-lived romance and even shorter-lived marriage that is now ending with lots of allegations about some type of abuse. Now, I'm not sure if these stories are true. I don't know how this is gonna go, but somebody tell her lies, y'all, in the courtroom. So Jeezy vehemently denies Jeannie Mai's abuse claims and provides photos and text messages. Now, they had an accident involving a golf cart, let's say in May sometime, all right? In June, they're having conversations by text message about said car accident or said cart accident. Now, Jeannie Mai put out pictures that she was bruised from Jeezy shoving her down the stairs.
Okay.
Now, right. She says that she was shoved down the stairs, that she never talked about the abuse, but she's talking about it now because she only wants him to be able to see the child 4 times a year. It is in the contract that 4 times a year she would be able to see the child, Monaco.
Yo, you guys don't find that how could you use a child as a pawn like that, like a piece where it's like I'm using it to get at you, like
You
you
know
know
what,
you want
though?
to see your child.
Sorry to come all on your segment, Kaya, but when you look at back in the day, when you look at, and this is how I justify how some people just see as children as commodities. Like back in the day, you made sure you had a certain number of children because you had to give one to the priesthood, one did whatever, and then you also basically had to, quote unquote, sell your daughters and or your sons, whether you were kings or whether you had land to kind of build your empire and stuff, you kind of had to sell them. So some people, I feel like you come from a DNA or a family line where like children were commodities. It wasn't a love thing. It wasn't about all these things. It was a commodity. The same way how women used to be a commodity for men in marriage. Like I think some people just don't see what that is, and they just see it as a bargaining chip.
That seems very likely, especially what they're doing these days. I just find it's morally wrong. It should be a carnal sin to do that, to put a person's child and say, like, I'm holding this child against you. I know you want to see the child, and because I'm vexed, I'm going to try by all means to make it where you can't see this child. Anyways, I'm going to digress on that.
I don't want the child to have a connection to you. Because what other reason could you have to not let me see the child? Okay, me and you may have this problem, but me and the child, but we have no problem. So that there says a lot, speaks volumes about what's really happening here. But when you go over the text messages, that's why I said, we have to really be like diligent about what we watching and what we thinking about what we watching, forming opinions about things that we don't quite understand. People are like, well, these people are in a divorce. Let's be tactful and mindful that they're in a sensitive situation. This woman is not in a sensitive situation. She is a gangster. Okay. And she should be locked up for the RICO for all of the stop that she's pulling out in order to make sure that this man pays the most amount of money, has the least amount of access to the baby. And now she's talking about the reason why this has to be this way is because she was abused, but she never come out the door saying she's abused. She's just like, I don't want to be with him no more. And it was allegations of her cheating. Okay.
Of her cheating?
Yeah, with Mario from Saved by the Bell. What's homeboy's name? His real name? The cutesy guy.
Yeah.
From Saved by the Bell. So yeah, she was accused of cheating with this guy. Like her and Monaco spending time with this dude and stuff.
Damn. Okay.
Weird stuff. So apparently, because they were talking about it in June, she's like, oh no, this is when this happened. He's like, the incident she's talking about coincides with this, and these are her bruises, and these are mine, where his foot was torn open from the golf cart. He's like, and these are the dates. He's like, yes, these are the text messages, but she's using these same text messages that I have right here against me because we was talking about this, but the pictures of my foot, boom, is removed. And then he shows the pictures in the same sequence with the pictures with his foot being done at the same time.
There you go.
He knows that those pictures exist, right? Like when you're going to do that, like, what the full story is, and that homeboy has them too. Why would you put yourself in that disposition?
Because he's black, so she doesn't care.
On the hopes that he doesn't have it, on the hopes that he probably like deleted it, and then the next thing you know.
On the hopes that no one believes him anyways, even if he does have it.
Because he's black.
Because he's black. And I'm trying to get me and my baby away from this guy. He's a demon, right? He was the greatest thing since sliced bread a little while ago. But now he's all of this. It's weird. Anyways, I have to go on to say this because on this same note, I am over Brian McKnight. I don't know if y'all still listen to Brian McKnight music, but for those of y'all who no longer listen to R. Kelly music. Let's just turn off Brian McKnight too. And no, he didn't touch anybody, but let me tell you what he did do. Brian McKnight said he denounces his biological children, that he doesn't even claim his estranged biological children because they are a product of sin. He calls them evil. Yeah, during a time of his life when he was sinning, he made those children. And he wasn't married when he had them. So they're a product of sin. And says that in order to live the life that you love, you have to get rid of all of the evil and negativity, even if that evil and negativity is related to you. He said, I didn't raise them. Their mother did. And he has adopted his new wife's children and calls them his children. And he's all over TikTok making videos with them. Now, I addressed this about Brian McKnight before, but I didn't know that he was taking it this long. Y'all?
Now, see, this is where my energy is completely different, where I really hope that his children come for him and all his bread. Be like, hey, your sins are following you, my friend, and we're gonna make sure your life is hell. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
How about that?
Not today, Satan. They're like, today, Satan. Today.
Right now, Satan.
Right now.
No, about
it's disgusting. You are a loser. Yeah.
Oh no.
But on top of that, you just admitted to being a deadbeat dad this whole time then.
That's what I'm saying.
Dad this whole time, and then you want to be like, now you're trying to reverse by saying like, oh, it's a deadbeat dad because that was sin. I'm gonna need you to
like he should be the Breakfast Club donkey of the day. We'll have to make up our own like Jackass of the Week or something, but still, that is definitely
no. In real life.
All of a sudden, it's Jackass of the Week, but okay.
Yeah. Anyways,
okay, so I have a question, Pharaoh. You're gonna have to check and see if you're allowed to answer. But I have a question. There's a story going on right now about Yandy and Mendices, and I want to talk about this story. They got the storyline they have going on Love and Hip Hop right now, and I'm quite conflicted. As a lot of you may know, I have never been pregnant before in my life, and so watching this storyline kind of touched my heart a little bit. But Yandy's sister, who is also like, even though Yandy is a manager and stuff like that, her sister is like very much her manager and helps her do everything in life. Like that, I think they even used to live together. Like they might have lived in the house with each other, like literally like to take care of her. Mm-hmm. And her sister cannot have children. And recently she asked Yandy to give her some eggs. And Yandy said yes right away before consulting with her husband. And they celebrated it. And then her husband found out and said that she could not do this egg gifting, and that if she did, it might be the end of them. I need to know, what is you guys' opinion on something like this? So I'm going to tell you what Mendice's thought process was. He was like, so that means that you about to go and lay down with this guy? And she's like, no, they're going to take the eggs out of me and they're going to put her husband's sperm with it. So he's like, so you going to have a baby with him?
No, she's not.
Okay, I can see that. I can see the thought.
She's not gonna have a baby with him because it's not like they're gonna put the sperm in the eggs and put the eggs back in her body. The eggs are gonna go in her sister's body.
Right.
Her sister's gonna birth it, birth the child. And like, right. I don't know if he has any siblings, but like, I don't know if he's looking at it if it was the other way around. Like somebody that you love, that you're people, and like are literally just like, oh my gosh, all I want to do is have children, and I can't, and you can, or like forget it being the sperm. If someone you love needed something you had, whether it was like a kidney or a lung or what, all these things, like if you were willing to do that, like if her sister needed a lung, he would have said no.
No, he would have said yeah. No, I'm glad you're breaking that down, because I'm like, forgive my ignorance, but I'm very curious on what the process would be. I didn't think that they would have to sleep together, but those eggs are like her eggs. So now when the husband's sperm connects with those eggs, that baby, is it going to resemble the mother who's carrying the eggs, or actually the sister? Like she's coming out with the sister's genes, no?
It won't have
the kids all can look alike anywhere.
It's like anything can happen. Your children can come out and start looking like grandparents that you never even knew. You have no control over that. And like, for example, like, I mean, even Jen having her children. So Millie, everybody who sees Millie is just like that. She reminds me of Gina. Mm-hmm. We got different DNAs. We have very similar DNAs, mm-hmm. but we like, unless you're an identical twin, you won't have the exact same DNA strand. So regardless of, she could have ended up having that child, and it could have ended up looking like Mandy's anyway, if she could even had the child herself, because they do share common DNA. You never know what that's gonna, like what a child's gonna come out looking like.
Right. We don't know. And obviously her sister's kid that she would be loaning her the egg for, giving her the egg for, is not going to look like Mendici's children, because the baby daddy don't look like Mendici's, but it's going to look like the byproduct of what Yandy and her sister look similar. So a byproduct of what, that sister's child would have looked like. And it will be her baby, because she will have pushed it out of her. And even if she didn't, let's say it was born in a tank. I don't care. If it's mine, it's mine.
Mm-hmm.
My baby.
Okay, so, I think with that understanding, if again, hopefully I can talk about this, but if we're in that situation, I think I wouldn't have an issue with it. If Shy had to give up her eggs for one of her sisters to be able to have a child, like if Shy was down, I wouldn't oppose it. I definitely would have asked some questions, like, just to be sure. It's like, so wait, what's happening? Is any intercourse happening? No intercourse? Okay, so then what's the next step? Okay, this is what's happening. Yeah, no, I think it's reasonable, especially like looking on the flip side. If it's like, yo, be a sperm donor, but now being a sperm donor, then for sure that child's gonna have like the male, the man's like DNA, right? Like that, it's a little bit different in that sense, right?
But obviously, yes, but
whatever you're donating has your DNA. So whether it's the sperm or the egg or whatever, it has your DNA.
I'm just saying,
the doctor who he worked at a fertility clinic, and he was putting his sperm in all the ladies. So to date, he has like 52 kids or something like that. And how they found out? Now, this is the funniest thing. Let me tell you the crazy. He's a doctor, right? He's a gynecologist, and he's a fertility specialist.
Mm-hmm.
So he makes up a bunch of vows. He impregnates these ladies. And at about 13 or 14, one of these smart ass kids that came from his sperm said, I want to know more about who I am. And she goes and searches her DNA and puts her DNA in the bank and finds all of these people with the same DNA as her. So she's like, what? How? She knows that she comes from a sperm clinic. She's like, what the heck? Finds out that she's connected, and the doctor's name pings on the list. And so she's like, no. She tells her mom, they go and investigate. And through that, they find like 52 other kids.
Well, the problematic because the thing is, it's not that they do allow it. Like they allow you to be a sperm donor even if you are a doctor, but they limit it because of the same problem, is that all these people don't know it, and you can end up creating ancestral strains of like relationships, because then you don't know that you're actually dating or possibly marrying a sibling because of that. And so you're not supposed to inseminate within like the same area with the same, like with too many of the same sperm, because now you have a whole community of basically,
right. And everybody don't tell their kids that they if I go to the clinic right now and I get a baby out of there, we might call him Tubi for a nickname. We gonna call him Tubi. We gonna be like, hi Tubi, not Toby. Tubi. Hi Tubi.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Don't listen. Let me tell you something. We gonna laugh at our pain. We're not going through that. And the only time we feel pain, drink pain, it'll be champagne.
Hey, talk about it.
So I'm going through it with this thing, and I feel like I don't want to be a pessimist, but I feel like this is Mendici's way of breaking up with Yandy. I think their relationship ran its course. The way that he's acting about her giving her sister some eggs to work with is a problem for me. I see it. I'm recognizing some things. And then the other night, Alexis Sky was on live, and she had a young man on the show with her that's a big gossip columnist. And why did he say that Mendici is cheating on Yandy? And if Yandy wanted to know who or what, that she needed to have a free plate ready for him when he came by the restaurant.
Wow. The tea is hot.
The tea is piping, because now we understand why Mendici is acting the way that he acting about her doing this with her sister. It ain't that deep, sir. You trying to have a whole breakdown about this situation like this man is about to be betting your wife or something like that. It ain't even going down like that, but you got so much heat for this lady about it.
It's giving very toxic masculinity, I'm just going to say.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, this coming from the guy. This is the guy who went to jail for doing something with a youngster, with a minor. Like, you know
that's what that was. I thought it was money.
No, this is the thing. This is what it ended up turning into. But Yandy is very well connected, because at first they was talking about this young girl. This is why when the girl that she adopted and she brought her in the house, Mendici, there had to be some paperwork signed about her being there first. And then when Mendici got out of jail, she couldn't live there. She had to go and live in another house. They never talked about it, but she had to go and live in another house. She wasn't allowed to be there.
Oh.
But that's the first charges that Mendici got. And that came along with that because during the time he was going up with the money charges, the girl accused him. This was at the beginning of the Love and Hip Hop thing when she was fighting with Chrissy all the time about Jim Jones. They said she had a crush on Jim. Child, it's going to unfold. This has been another episode of Kaya's Jambalaya. Come back next week for the rest of the tea.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Actually, it's time to ungrind those gears. Let's get into some interesting facts, tips, and a whole lot of fun with Gina the Great. Well, let me ask Pharaoh, though. Pharaoh, are your children avid readers?
Yes. Yeah, both of them are. But what's it? Phenomenal's in liberal arts, so she gotta read a lot.
She said children.
Yes, my children.
He has multiple children.
I know he just singled out too.
Well, Nzinga reads too. Nzinga actually funny. Nzinga's reading 2 books a day now. I'm really proud of her. She's 6.
Come on, baby.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Great job, because I do think that reading is a declining art in not just our community. I think just in people like in the world total, and we kind of have all gotten digital, which although, you know, you can still read digitally, but we're not doing that. We just want quick pictures, fast videos, make me laugh. You got 10 to 15 seconds at that. But I wanted to shout out Dolly Parton, because Dolly Parton has a program that she mails your children a free book once a month until the age of 5. And there's no catch, there's no obligations. She just wants kids to read, and it's called the Imagination Library. And I wanted her to be in my, the facts, because Dolly is actually, she's a real one, honestly. And I think she deserves some flowers. And this program is also available in Canada. So usually we talk about these things and we hear these things and it's only available in the US, but it is available in Canada. And each year, the esteemed Blue Ribbon Book Selection Committee, a special selected panel of early children literacy experts, is responsible for reviewing hundreds of potential titles for inclusion in the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. So now I know you guys are like, Dolly Parton, like, she's American, she's from the South, does she even really know all the books that are out there, what's available and whatnot? Now, Dolly is smart, because Dolly's committee is a very diverse committee that includes people from different backgrounds. You might have John Miklos Jr., who may not be for our background, but he's for somebody. You also have Edna Rogers, again, not our background, but for somebody. But she also has Shaya Kulkarni, and that's got a little seasoning in there. Diane Givens, she all seasoned up, she's like you and me. And
there's pictures too.
I'll send you the link to the thing. Yeah, Julianne Northbourg. It's giving a little bit of French, so French folks. Julianne Northbourg looks like she's here for you, and Teresa E. Venable, not quite sure, but again, she be looking like you, me, and us. So. Amen. I wanted to shout out Dolly Parton. I'll send the link to the Imagination Library that's available in Canada. I do think it's important for our community to read. I think it's important and it's good to get it while you're young. So when your children are young, get them to read and get them to learn different languages, because that's where that's where the absorption is, and that's when you're setting them up for success in life. Because I don't know what it is about people. I like the people who live here in Quebec and don't want to teach their children French or don't want to teach their children English. You are doing them a disservice. Just because you didn't get to speak the language doesn't mean that your children need to have the same handicap. And look, don't stop at English and French, because if there's one thing that I wish I had fluency in multiple languages, at least 3, which I have to shout out. Most immigrant families, their children have 3 languages, fluently, so, and if not 4. Really don't do a disservice to your children. They need to read, and sometimes it's not necessarily just about the content of the book, but it also helps your attention span, your comprehension span, your communication capabilities. So all these things are very important for your children, let alone as adults. Because I'll say something, I used to read a lot, because I used to read a lot when I was on the metro, subway, public transportation, going into work, going into school, because you had time for that. And then when you shifted out of that, and it's kind of you have to be very how do you call it? Dedicated, yeah. Or you have to make time to read, and to do that. A lot of times you don't actually make that time. You actually don't feel like you have that time to make time read. At times you kind of just got to realize, you know what? Maybe I won't binge 15 of these shows, and I can turn it off a little early and decide to start reading.
I'm gonna add to that. So I just said this to my mama the other day. I said, if I looked at the signs of how my life was going,
prior to being locked up, I would have known that this is what was happening. I had not read a book since high school. And one vacation that I went on, I binge read a whole book, which would never happen on a vacation, but I literally stayed on the beach and I read this whole book. And do you know, the following year, I was locked up. And I said, imagine if I didn't sit my ass down and read that whole book that time, I wouldn't have the cognizance to sit down. That I didn't have the discipline to sit down and do it, but I actually did it. But I remember the thought process that I had when I was reading the book. I said, girl, you read this book like you was in jail. You read the hell out of this book. I swear. And when I was in prison, I ended up reading 91 books.
Wow.
In a year.
Wow.
91 books. And don't wait until your eyes don't work to read a book. It will open up your mind. It will take you places where if you've never traveled before, it'll get you right up off that couch. It's going to take you somewhere else. It's going to give you new vocabulary. It's going to give you new diction. So to read a book, expand your mind. The truth is, what's they used to say? Say, if you want to hide something from a Black man, put it in a book. We want to prove them wrong. We want to prove them wrong.
And I meant the word was deliberate. That's what I was trying to say. You have to be deliberate about reading. Because that too, like I've asked some of my past partners, it's like, oh, what was the last book you read? What are you reading? And it's just like, the most they would have read is a magazine. And I was just like,
Mary Had a Little Lamb.
But you know, it's actually on that note, it's like I'm really glad we're having this conversation because this is in all transparency. You guys know I like being brutally honest, even to my own fault sometimes. But it is a challenge for me recently because I've gotten into such a habit because I have to go through so many reports that I have the computer reading them to me all the time. And I realized that I've gotten like I barely like reading messages now, like where I'm just like, I'm like, Lord, I'm like, all these words. It's like, so I have my phone reading the messages to me. I listen to audible. I'm taking in like 4 or 5 books at the same time, but it's all audible. So it's like nowadays, I'm like, yo, you know, and I was just telling Shai this. I'm like, yo, I'm joking around because it's like I need to get back to actually reading books. I'm concerned that if like my mind's going to turn to mush within the next couple of years because I'm so not accustomed to reading anymore. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, no, I'm glad we're talking about this. We do need to be very deliberate about it. And you said something I just wanted to touch on quick because especially with the second language and third languages, a lot of times within, I know when I speak to people within the province of Quebec, especially Anglophones, they have a resentment towards the language because of the way it's being forced on them. And I hear what they're saying, you know, like I understand that because no one likes to be forced to do anything. But if you look past that, 2 wrongs don't make it right. So if they're being ignorant about the way they're forcing it on you, allow that, like ignore that aspect of it, but learn the language. Because on the flip side, it's super stupid to meet people in Quebec who can't communicate to you in English. Like, it's like, what are you saying? Like, you only know French? Like, so you cannot leave this province because everywhere else speaks English. So that's why.
Don't get me wrong. There are certain things that are by design, right? So the more you empower people to be autonomous, the less you can keep them in your country and take their money. Because that's the thing too, right? So, and I look at it the same way in the US. The US, only 35% of the population, I think it went up. I think it used to be 25. I think it's 35 now. I'd have to go back and check it. Own a passport. That means at least 65% of the people do not leave the country. So why do you need to learn another language? Why do you need to know anything about us, about whatever else is happening around the world? And some people can't afford it and I get it, right? But like some people who are in these places in Quebec don't leave because they don't have that other language or they don't have access to learn it. Like, I mean, being in Montreal, for you to not be bilingual, if you came here late and you're an immigrant, that's cool. But your next generations, they should know it. I don't understand. Like I had a contractor one time, one of my consultants, and he was just like, oh, his kids, he put them in English because he doesn't think that they need to learn French. I was like, why would you do that? Oh, just because you live in the West Island, so your kids are never gonna do anything else, and now like they're never gonna be bilingual, and so you don't want them to live in Montreal for the long term or get a good job and be able to service both communities. I don't see why you did that to your young 5, 6, 7-year-olds. If you didn't want to learn language, that's fine. You're a grown adult, and it's hard. It is harder to learn it when you're older. But don't do that to your kids. It doesn't make any sense.
Fact. Yep.
Question for you, Pharaoh and or Kaya, when you're in a relationship, how long do you hug your partner for, or how long do you kiss your partner hi and bye when you see them?
All right. I think I can answer this. So, well, first of all, I try to hug my partner as often as possible. Shai, on the other hand, is like, get off. So that is that. And so the hugs, no, it's just she doesn't like, she finds I squeeze her too hard. Whatever. There's a technique. No, but you know what's
She doesn't
funny?
understand that
Actually,
you're trying to squeeze all her broken pieces back together again. She doesn't understand. It's okay.
it's love. No, but you know what's funny? Just in terms of relationships, I don't think there's anything wrong with asking your spouse how they want to be hugged and trying to accommodate. Because not every like there's hugs like over the shoulders, under the arms, all kind of different squeezed, light, whatever the case. So whatever. In our case, like we kind of have an understanding. I don't hug too hard. And Shy and I, in terms of kissing, like we have a thing that we do where we do double kisses. That's our thing. 2 times kiss every time. So that's
You said
that's
it like
our-
Elmo. I love it. He said, kiss, that's Elmo. That's cute.
But because people have handshakes and stuff, we're like, oh, we're not a handshake, we're married, so we'll have our code kiss, and it's a 2 kiss. All right.
Well, I have a couple.
I love that.
Who speak to that, and we'll have a small little snippet on what they have to say about hugs and kisses in your relationship.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you mine.
You can while Pharaoh pulls up the link.
Okay, so one, when I see my guy, he's like my human furniture. We hug and we stay hugging, and then we get to the couch and we lay down. We stay hugging, and I lay down on top of him, and I still be hugging him, and he still be hugging me. So we stay. Sometimes it'd be like 8 minutes.
Yo, nah, that Shy would hate that.
So we like, no, my sister is like, what is that? I'm like, it's voodoo. It's voodoo.
Yeah,
so we hug all the way. We hug the whole time. We hug, we lay down, we hug, we hold each other the whole time. We hug. And then we stop. And then it's like, okay, now we good.
Well, that's nice. Oh, that's so nice, though. So nice.
I'm nice.
And wait, what about the kissing part?
Okay, so this one in particular, I like him, but I don't love him. So we don't really kiss a lot.
Okay.
It's like pet kissing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I like him a lot.
Intimate.
But
we're not at that point yet where I feel like what I'm doing.
Okay, I dig. All right. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's hear what the people have to say.
Yeah.
Their wives goodbye when they leave for work live something like 4 years longer than men who don't. But the 6-second kiss, which we recommend, has much more potential than that peck on the cheek.
What is the 6-second kiss?
A kiss that lasts at least 6 seconds.
Why not 5 or 4?
Because oxytocin gets secreted. With a 20-second hug or a 6-second kiss, you're both secreting oxytocin. And that creates a sense of psychological safety and connection.
And bonding.
Oh, those hugs and kisses mean a lot more. And so it's important for you to hug and kiss your partner, because you guys are basically helping each other get healthy off of just that couple. And now I'm not gonna lie, a 6-second kiss is a little long to say hi and bye.
Yo, it's a lot, but I'm gonna go for it. Ha ha ha! I'm gonna use science too now. Thanks, Gina.
Babe, it's science.
Okay, I just tried it. I just tried it on my hand. Let me tell you something. 6 seconds, you gotta like that. You gotta like them a lot.
You gotta.
Yeah, it is long. It's long.
Do it in your car while you're listening to us. Right? Do it in your car. Put your hand.
Right.
Kiss your hand.
It's like awkwardly long, where it's like,
You don't get off of me, you old nasty. What you trying to do before I go to work? Get off. That might build self-control though after a while of doing it, right? Because we're used to this. We can go at least 6 minutes before it gets gross. You know what I'm saying?
6 minutes. I mean, again, these are the high and by ones. We'll get there.
6 minutes of the pressure on.
We talked about reading and how that's important. That's good for your early ages and throughout your whole life. But I was kind of going through social media a bit, and like some people were kind of saying the unpopular opinion about college and university and spending all this money, graduating out of something and not getting a job, or, going through the motions of like, oh, well, I'm going to go into this program. And then when you graduate, recognizing that there aren't actual jobs out there for you, talking to you, sociology and or what's naturopaths, like, so we're all archaeologists all of a sudden, like, you don't have a lot of things that are in demand. And I do think that sometimes you're doing a disservice to these students in not directing them in the right direction of what's actually in demand and in need. So I did want to give you guys a list of in-demand jobs in Canada. Yes, some of them require a lot of studying and some of them don't necessarily. And some of them, especially if it's something that you like to do, you might want to think about that if you are thinking about going back to school, or if you are thinking about a major that you want to enroll in, or if it's time for a switch. So I have 25 most in-demand jobs in Canada to date. This is a 2024 list. So electrical engineer, aerospace engineer, software engineer, human resource manager, web developer, veterinarian, a recruiter, shout out, a financial advisor, pharmacist, general laborer. I want to say that again, general laborer, because guess what? Everybody doesn't need to be a doctor. Them construction workers out there, those handymen out there, they're being called out. There's work to be had. Industrial electrician, heavy duty equipment mechanic, administrative assistant, receptionist, merchandiser, driver, project manager, account manager, business development manager, accountant, registered nurse. For all my Haitians out there, registered nurse. You already know that the registered nurse for the Haitian community is like the doctor and lawyer for the Indian community. Like know, you have at least one registered Haitian nurse auntie
in the family. For sure. And don't come for Gina, because Gina could say that.
Not only can I say it, but my mom's a registered nurse. Don't come.
And you could say it for 3 different reasons. So don't even come. Don't come.
Yeah. And all her registered nurse friends back in the day when we were kids were all registered nurse, and their kids are all friends today. So
now
I know what I know.
Getting that back.
University professor, information technology project manager, and optician. I want to also say this, and we don't really have that in Canada, but I was seeing that like people were talking about like a lot of welding, or a lot of people who go and work like in like the rinks in the water and stuff like that. They get paid. No, sorry, we do have it in Canada. We just don't have it like out here, because my cousin's cousin, that's what he does, and he goes out north in like the northern territories and stuff like that, and we'll go for like 6 weeks, bank, and then come back and be off for a couple of weeks, so that on and off. But just there's money to be made out there. So everything, it doesn't have to be conventional. It doesn't have to just be lawyer, doctor, accountant or whatnot. There is also a list of the highest paying jobs. Now, I know I just said you don't have to be a lawyer or a doctor, but yes, they are on the list. If for you the motivation is making sure that you have the highest paying job in Canada, and these jobs rank between $86,000 to $325,000 and up. So
is one of them being a director of a nonprofit organization?
Well, let's find out. Surgeon, physician, pathologist, psychologist, dentist, speech therapist, firefighter, corporate controller, criminal investigator, lawyer, veterinarian, nurse practitioner, pharmacist, professor, pilot, y'all. How come people aren't going to like pilot's fun? You get to fly all over the world too. I mean, depending on your route, but that's interesting.
Your insurance premium's super high though, because you're like at risk all the time.
Okay, but then don't you get your insurance? Well, your personal insurance premium. Yeah, well, okay, but you're amongst the highest paid in Canada, so architect, risk manager, data scientist, project manager, and portfolio manager. So again, if you're thinking about a career change, or if you're in that career and you want to really kind of build that out, there's a lot of potential in that, and that's what it looks like for Canada.
Thank you, Gina. This is some useful information.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
Say nothing about OnlyFans, but I get it.
That I was wondering.
Again, these are professionals.
You say nothing about strippers?
Maybe OnlyFans isn't really making it that way, and also perhaps OnlyFans, those are known as gifts and not revenue. So
no, they're getting taxes. They're getting taxed.
Sure, you can get taxes on what's revenue, but some things are gifts, some things are revenue.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Question: if you have the opportunity to trade in your passport for $10 million, but couldn't come back to Canada, would you do it?
Well,
and so just to know, the Canadian passport is ranked 7th strongest passport in the world.
10 million, but I can't come back to Canada.
Where would I be?
Well, as you get that 10 million, you got to give in your passport or whatever that is, but you got to figure it out. You just can't.
Okay, now.
Or mind you, well, it says you can't come back. So if you never leave, you're here. But if you have another passport, you got to go to where that passport is. and you
I
can't
would,
come back to Canada.
I will take a passport for Nigeria, for Kenya now. That will send my passport. I will buy new one.
Yeah.
No problem. I have 10
Yeah.
million. I'll buy a new one. I will buy 3 Canadian passports. Come. You have said nothing. I'll be back in a week.
Yeah. Loophole. Yeah.
With a new face and fingerprints.
Yo, trust. Yo, what that money's good. That money's gonna go long, long, long. No,
Right.
but it's a good question though, because I'm like, well, first of all, at this stage of my life, like maybe I'm off of Canada anyways. Like, you know what I mean? Like, give me 10 million. I got properties developed in different parts of the world. They have so much world to see. It's just actually the only concern that I have is why I asked if I could visit is just my family that is actually still here, right? Like with million, am I flying everybody out that I want to see? Like, come see me? Like, I don't know.
They have money now. They don't need your 10 million.
Yeah, but 10 million runs out, like that's how all of these entertainers and athletes who get that money when they're young run out, like, no problem, I'm gonna send the jet. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I have no jet money. I have no house money.
That's because they didn't make them put nothing in the bags coming on the jet. Like, y'all coming just y'all? Y'all didn't put nothing in the bag? What did y'all come here for? Yeah. I know y'all didn't come to spend up the money.
Yeah. It's an ecosystem. You got to bring things in so we can get things out. Niggas, what's going on? But
if you don't bring 50,000 pounds of sweet condensed milk, you stay where you at. You didn't bring no Lipton tea bags. You didn't bring no the circle ones. You didn't
nothing.
At least
no.
Yeah, brought shame to our family.
Yeah, so it's I don't know. I think it might like I would consider it. I would really consider it.
Yeah,
I'd really consider it.
And it's not for me. Same for me. It's not the Canada thing. It's who resides in Canada more so for me. But then maybe that's just a matter of like, hey, let's all meet in New York. But yeah, if it was just me as a lone person, we out of here. Mm-hmm. But considering just my nieces and nephews alone across the board, I would probably go broke off of just flying them out enough times because like I need that in my life. So all right, let's get into it. My trivia today is actually a bit more like riddles. We have riddles today. Okay. Riddles and slash trivia, if you will. Was that a sigh? Because I heard Kai inside because Kai is the riddle master. You are the riddle. Every time we have a riddle, you know it. So I don't know what the sigh is about.
I had to turn on a different mind today. I got you though. I got you.
Okay.
Yeah. I was in the car with a friend Thursday Rising, and the show came on, and I was like, wow, I'm smart. So it's just a lot of pressure.
It's such a nerd.
Okay, question number 1. David's father has 3 sons: Snap, Crackle, and
David.
David, yes, Kaya, it is David.
Not Pop?
Nope, because David's father has 3 sons: Snap, Crackle, and David.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna have to pay attention. Okay, go ahead.
Question number 2. I am easy to lift, but hard to throw. What am I?
Easy to lift, hard to throw.
Clue is it's an organic matter. It's
okay.
It is not a liquid form though, but it is an organic matter.
This is good.
Clue number 2. Think. Clue number 2. Think. Aviary.
A what?
Think aviary. I can't really give a better clue because then it's probably going to give it away. But I'm going to say aviary.
Easy to lift, hard to throw.
Easy to lift, hard to throw.
It's an organic matter.
Organic matter, aviary. Comes from an animal. It comes from an animal. That's my next clue.
Yeah.
This animal sings.
Voice. Your voice.
Nope.
No.
You can throw your voice with ventriloquism.
Yeah.
It comes from birds.
Feather?
Yes,
Eggs?
a feather.
A feather.
You said eggs?
Easy to lift, hard to
Like-
throw.
A feather.
Oh,
feather.
easy to lift, hard to throw.
Hard to
A
throw.
feather. Okay. Damn it.
Wow. Okay, yeah. You're good. That's a good one too. Yeah, because
That was hard.
But why is a feather hard to throw?
Because it
Because
won't
when
go.
you throw it, it won't go far. It's like,
Okay.
It just falls right
Got
in
it.
front of you.
Got it.
Which fish cost the most?
goldfish.
Goldfish. Okay, Kaya. Okay, Kaya. What has a what has a neck but no head?
A bottle.
A bottle. Yes. Okay, we awake
Damn.
today. We awake today.
Crushing it. Good.
If you multiply this number by any other number, the answer will always be the same. What number is this?
0.
0. Okay. Farrah with a point
Go
on the
ahead. Go
Welcome
ahead.
to the game. Welcome to the game.
I homeschool, so I know that one.
Okay. Do you guys have something to write on? It might help for this one.
Yeah.
Okay. What is 3/7 of a chicken, 2/3 of a cat, and 2/4 of a goat? So 3/7 of a chicken, CHICKEN, 2/3 of a cat,
Wait.
CAT. I told you to get the pen and paper, Kaya. I'll do that again. 3/7 of a chicken, CHICKEN, 2/3 of a cat, CAT, and 2/4 of a goat, GO.
Chicago.
Chicago. Yep, it's Chicago, Kaya. Did you get that, Farrah?
Yeah, after Kaya did.
After Kaya did. Last question. In a lake, there are a patch of lily pads. Every day, the patch doubles in size. If it takes 48 days for the patch to cover the entire lake, how long would it take for the patch to cover half of the lake?
Sorry, you have to start over. Like you said, you're going. My mind went somewhere else. I was like, shit. Wait, what happened? Again.
In a lake,
Yeah.
there are a patch of lily pads.
Okay.
Every day, the patch doubles in size. If it takes 48 days for the patch to cover the entire lake, how long would it take for the patch to cover half?
24 days.
24 days for Kaya. How many
Yeah.
days, Farrell?
You said it doubles in size. Half. Well, wait, it's doubling, then 2 times 2 times 2. It's not gonna be 24. It's less than 24. Hold on.
Can you say the riddle again?
In a lake, there are a patch of lily pads. Every day, the patch doubles in size. If it takes 48 days for the patch to cover the entire lake, how long would it take for the patch to cover half of the lake?
24. I don't care. I'm sticking with 24.
24 for Kaya. Can I get a number, Farrell, please?
Let's go. Wait, I'm gonna go. I don't think it's 24. I'm gonna go with 12.
12 days. So if it doubles in size, it's actually 47th day. Because on the 47th day, it reaches half of the lake and then it doubles and then it becomes the full lake.
Yeah, nah, that's not what you read.
I don't get it. I still don't even get it, even with the explanation.
Listen, so it says every day each lily pad doubles in size. So if you start with one lily pad, the next day
not
will be
lily
two.
pad. No, that's not what you said. You said each patch.
No, I said pad. There's a patch of lily pad. Each day the patch doubles in size. Correct. The patch of lily pads. Right. So if you
So if how many is in a patch, but it takes 48 days.
All right, listen.
It takes 48 days to make the whole thing. To do half of it is 20.
Right.
Is 24.
So let's say the patch starts at 2. So your patch has 2 lily pads. The next day it will have 4. The next day after that it will have 8. The next day after that it will have 16. So when you continue in that route, by the time it reaches the amount of patches that covers half of the lake, that patch will double. And for it to double from half of the lake becomes the full lake the next day. So if it's a full lake in 48 days, on day 47, it's half of the lake.
Whew. Yo, it makes I get it. It definitely makes sense. I'm sure our listeners out there are like,
Nah, this is one of those things they teach you in school when you find out and you get in university that it's not real.
Well, you take that as you will, but I grind, you grind, and sometimes we need to ungrind together. That's Ungrind My Gears with Gina the Great. We would like to thank our special guests, and this episode is possible thanks to the awesome people at CKUT, the OFC, Solo Drum, and the Caribbean Curry House. Do you have any shout-outs?
I want to shout out the show because I just love how I win and nobody don't say congratulations. We just move on to an exit. It's okay. Congratulations.
Now you know how I feel. I never get any proper acknowledgement for winning either. Gina, what?
How long have we been doing this? Do you guys need it every single time? Oh my gosh, you are great. You are awesome.
I need my sticker.
Yeah. I love you guys.
I need my sticker.
A little validation. That's why, don't you see, every time I win, I have to be like, did I win? Can I? When you guys are just like, Farrell, you're always rubbing it in. No,
the worst part is I give you guys validation throughout the whole game. Like, okay, you got it. Yes, I give you all of that. But
I need my sticker.
See, that's why you give them a hand, they want the arm. All right.
Thank you so much. I had so much fun today. Thank you, G.
I want to shout out Uncle Marlon and I want to shout out Jessica. It was their birthday on the 24th, so whoop whoop to you too.
Dope. I got a bunch of shout outs. So first I want to shout out Ian from To Be Fit. Thank you. We went there. Shara was actually having an issue with her hip, her thigh. It was great. He's an osteopath. If anybody's looking for probably one of the best osteopaths in the city, definitely connect with Ian Paris from To Be Fit. They're in LaSalle, also owner of the Caribbean Curry House. Next, I want to give a shout out to Magda, Magic Hand. She hooked her brother up. Got my locks redid just recently. And actually, I gotta say, while I was there, next week I'll talk a little more about it. But there was a huge connection I was able to make in terms of a parallel, because I was talking about the some of the important things in life. If you ask me, is a connection to yourself, a connection to other people, and a connection to the planet. And then within that same conversation, I realized the parallel is that a connection to ourselves is also a connection to spirit, because we are spirit, right? So a knowledge of yourself and a knowledge of your spirit is necessary. Also, a connection to others is, I compare it to also commerce, funny enough, because basically we need trade amongst each other. Not necessarily money, but for us to survive as a species, we have to interact and engage and support each other. And that's how we will survive as a species. And then the third thing is basically that connection to the planet also correlates with your ability to grow food and to have the planet sustain you. So I was like, yo, there's a real parallel. So anyway, so that came up when I was checking Magic Hands. I wanted to share that with the community. Last, very, very far from least, I want everybody to check out LegacyStartsNow.com. LegacyStartsNow.com. We have a survey, the OFC, in collaboration with Beck. That's the Black Entrepreneurial Knowledge Hub. We need to hear from all the entrepreneurs within the Black community. It's a survey that's going on. There's another wave of funds that are coming out, and it's important that we have an idea of what's going on, what kind of funding is available to you guys in terms of members of the community. So we want you guys to be able to get access to that. So that is it, beautiful people. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for joining, and we appreciate you. Follow us on everything. Listen to us on everything. Share us with your friends and family. It's OFC Podcast Radio. Peace and blessings.
Kings and queens, this was the OFC Podcast Radio with Pharaoh Hammond Freeman, Queen Kaya, and myself, Gina the Great. We're on every Thursday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on CKUT 90.3 FM. Hopefully you got your dose of entertainment, enlightenment, and empowerment. Stay blessed and highly favored.
OFC Podcast Radio.